On this week's show, we're back in the bathhouse as it's nearing completion, a behind-the-scenes look at the spring dance concert, an interview with the one and only Mr. Cantlay, and Anna Marsh reporting on worms. Lawrenceville's 10-minute newscast begins now. From the studios inside the Lawrenceville School's historic Pop Hall, this is L10 with Ghael, Fobes. Hello, welcome. This year's Alumni Weekend featured a packed schedule, as returning students reunited with their graduating classes to catch up with life on campus. The weekend culminated on Sunday morning with the 12th annual Big Red Race, when runners from both Lawrenceville and the surrounding community ran a 5K in support of school camp. The theater department has announced that the next year's fall musical will be The Mystery of Edwin Drood. A production inspired by Charles Dickens' famously unfinished novel, the musical will be performed over Parents' Weekend. Auditions will take place before the end of spring term and are open to second, third, and fourth formers. Mathematics master Brent Ferguson has been appointed as the Lawrenceville's varsity swim coach for the next season. Ferguson will take over for science master Jim Jordan and will lead both the boys and girls squads. The most recent installment of this year's capstone series featured Pew Research Associate Amanda Lenhart. Lenhart, a graduate of Amherst College and Georgetown University, lectured on the topic of technology and its influence on 21st century youth. As you may remember, we sent Chisom down to the bathhouse construction site last December as the project was just starting. We sent her back as the project is nearing completion. Chisom.
Thanks, Ghael. Today I'm here in front of the bathhouse where production is really ramping up. We talked to project manager Mr. Kesselman, and he gave us an exclusive first look at what's been going on. Let it be known, first student in this bathhouse.
So this arch here is where the window used to be.
And this is where the bathhouse used to just stop, right?
Yes, this was the outside of the bathhouse. We were then outside. So all the area that you're standing in here is brand new. This hallway link that connects the old to the new. We're going to have a couple bathrooms in there. And this is the brand new highlight of the project, which of course is the glass conservatory. Yes, so this entire structure, starting right here, was built in a factory in Maryland. Brand new patio.
Wow.
Lots of patio furniture that will go on here. We'll have a barbecue grill, some lights above.
I guess here's the question that's on everyone's minds. When will the bathhouse be open for students?
Well, we're doing our best to get done before the end of the school year. Like I said, we had a tough winter, so we were pushed back a few weeks. No promises, but we're certainly pushing to get open before June. So we're standing in what will be the new kitchen for the bathhouse. We'll have cooking capabilities under that hood for snacks. We're going to have a smoothie maker, we're going to have a panini press, refrigerator.
Will students be allowed in this section?
So we're not exactly sure how it's going to work out, but yes, the students will be able to use the space, whether it's for a weekend event or what have you.
We'd like to thank Mr. Kesselman and the entire construction crew for all the work they put into this building. Hopefully, students will be able to get access to the bathhouse by the end of the year. Back to you, Ghael.
Thank you, Chisom. We all have that one teacher who lights a spark in our imagination, who truly connects with us. For many, Mr. Cantlay has been that mentor. As he is planning to retire next year, Kennedy Guest-Pritchett and I had a chance to interview him and follow his life as an English master and as the head tennis coach. We first asked him what he enjoyed most about English.
English, language, reading, what literature is, the play of metaphor, the truths it gets us to, the way people awaken to that, begin to see that in the metaphor I like to use for it, like Dorothy on the way to Oz, when she plucks the apple and the tree says, ouch, that they're not in a black and white world anymore. They're not in that sophomoric world where things simply are what they are. And they begin to realize everything, therefore, is aglow with meaning. Everything needs interpreting. Everything needs to be read. I've got my own view of that. Basically, it's a mixture of things. I'm happy to have the kids go crazy. I delight in that. And when they do, that's wonderful. And you can help them do that. You can prime the pump. Others are better, I think, at priming the pump that way than I am. I like the Harkness discussion, which I see that, and then help to guide it or help to add stuff in, because I know things. I've read it, a lot of things they haven't read, and I love that they can discover things having read the book, but there are things also I think they need to know, things that I can bring to their understanding that I want to make sure they get. It's something that comes to me when I'm coaching and I realized the truth that what we're doing has these connections with the stuff that's going on in the classroom. But the major thing that's going on when I'm coaching is that it isn't like teaching in one sense. It's like preparing for life. It's much more active, and it's much more about making decisions under real pressure. The pressure in a classroom is real enough. It's not the same, though. Of course, this isn't really life. It isn't, in the famous metaphor about sports and war, it isn't war, whatever the playing fields of Eton might have meant, or the way that West Point has always looked at football as being a kind of substitute for war. Of course, it's not those things. It's a game. But the difficulty of keeping your cool and thinking clearly in the moment when you're chasing a ball that's spinning rapidly and everything's in the balance, including, as yesterday, right to the very last, the success of the team, of Lawrenceville in general. I guess messing with the kids. I mean, really, the truth is, it's a lot of fun in the classroom. You shut the door and you go to work. You play around with those books, you play around with those kids' minds, and you hope that some things begin to happen in them. In English, you hope especially that they begin to understand what's going on in a play or a poem or a novel, that they understand the way it connects to them, the way that poetry works, which is, to my mind anyway, metaphorically always. It's sort of a bridge to ourselves. It's a way of representing ourselves. It's true to me, at least, that literature is always about the human condition. So it's representations of us. Yes, it's also a story about a battle, or it's a story about a love affair, it's a story about an adventure, but it always will be at bottom a depicting of these conflicting strains that make up a human being. So that's the thing I care about.
He's a truly remarkable man, and for that reason he has been selected by the Fifth Formers as an honorary graduate with this year's 2015 class. Now we have Zoe Finkelstein and Kristen Rolle with a behind-the-scenes look at this year's spring dance concert.
Thanks, Ghael. I'm here in the KAC with Mr. Wilder to ask him some questions about SDC. What is your role in SDC?
Well, my role is to make sure that all the dancers and choreographers have come together and put their work in preparation for SDC. So what I do is I go around, I work with the choreographers individually. I also help them with some of their moves within their pieces, and just make sure that everything is coming together, that their vision is coming to fruition.
What's your favorite part about SDC?
I think my favorite part is seeing the faces of not only the choreographers, seeing their visions come to life, but seeing the faces of the dancers at the end of the performance. And this moment of, wow, we did this. I can't believe that this has finally happened. And just seeing that moment of sheer joy and happiness.
And what's the biggest challenge of SDC?
The biggest challenge is keeping it all together. It's organized chaos, and there are times where things get extremely difficult and you think the performer thinks or the choreographer thinks that it's not going to happen. Even I think that it's not going to happen. We hit those roadblocks and you have to fight through them, and it's that moment that you get to the end result and you see it all happen. It's worth it.
My favorite part about choreographing is when it all finally comes together and everyone, you never thought you would see the day when everyone is so in time and in sync, and everything you imagined your initial choreography to be, it turns out so much better.
Well, this is my first time being in SDC, so everything is really new and exciting, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the best part so far has definitely been just like meeting new people and like a bunch of kids I wouldn't really talk to, just like meeting them in my dances. But then the worst part is just like going to rehearsal because it's never at a convenient time, so that's probably it.
Thank you, Zoe and Kristen. Be sure to attend the concert this weekend. Now we have a report on worms brought to you by Anna Marsh.
Thank you, Ghael. So, have you ever wondered how the grass at Lawrenceville is so green? Well, here's the answer.
Well, it's pretty simple. It starts with worms and food. And the worms create waste from the food. We collect the waste. We use the waste, or the casting, to make the brew.
I'm here with Tim Moore at Buildings and Grounds, and we are learning more about the organic turf program, which has been using the vermiculture process, which then becomes vermicast tea.
First, we start with our worms. These are called red wigglers. This worm eats about 75% of its weight daily, and we use these to break down the vegetable waste from the dining center.
So how do you incorporate the castings into the vermicast tea?
Well, it's pretty elementary. Being like a tea bag, we take a fine mesh bag, we put the castings in the bag, submerge them in water that's aerated, and in a 48-hour process is when the tea forms.
How's the growth of the organisms during the process?
It grows exponentially to a number that I can't even write down.
So, Mr. Kostov, what is your perspective on brewing this worm tea?
Well, this is yet another way that we've been able to kind of close the loop on some of our systems here at Lawrenceville. So several years ago, we started by collecting all of the yard waste, branches, all of the detritus from the fall and making compost out of it. And eventually that became a mulch that we use on our beds and as a soil amendment on our campus. So we saw the opportunity, instead of sending this compost off campus to a facility to recycle it and make their own product out of it, we saw an opportunity to keep it on campus and kind of close a loop.
Do you know of any other schools that use this process, or is Lawrenceville a pioneer?
I wouldn't say that we're a pioneer. I'd say we're ahead of the curve, and I think we're being proactive about what we're doing with our compost and our waste and how we're enhancing our lived spaces.
The environmental benefits are we are not using any synthetic fertilizers on campus anymore. It's all 100% natural process.
And that's how Lawrenceville is becoming more sustainable. Back to you, Ghael.
Thank you, Anna. I am not a fan of worms. That is our show for Tuesday, May 5th, 2015. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Good night.